Now, when President Biden finally announced his ban that you heard so much about today on Russian energy imports, he decided to use the moment to do something that is disgustingly Washington: shift blame.
This is a step that we're taking to inflict further pain on Putin. But there will be cost as well here in the United States. Defending freedom is going to cost. It's going to cost us as well.
Now, who's he kidding? We've been doing nothing but paying for Biden's and his party's mistakes since he took power. From their insane COVID mandates to their willful denial of inflation to their maniacal crusade against fossil fuels, and now their bungling of U.S. foreign policy. Now, this isn't simply incompetent. At this point, it's purposeful. I think it's vindictive. Democrats never let a crisis go to waste. We know that. And the fact is, Ukraine, just like the pandemic, is another tragedy for them to exploit in an attempt to save themselves in the midterms. Now, you think the country is going in the wrong direction? Pain at the pump? Well, all you need to know, it's Russia's fault.
Gonna go up. Can't do much right now. Russia's responsible.
Now, this is just one of the many lies that Biden's telling Americans who are suffering under his weak leadership. There's nothing that a U.S. president, most powerful country in the world, nothing he can do about it? Nothing? It's all in Putin's hands? Are we all just imagining our previous energy independence under Trump? Well, that's what Biden wants you to believe.
It's simply not true that my administration or policies are holding back domestic energy production. That's simply not true.
Well, except that's precisely what he did do. He halted new drilling. He issued fewer permits. He ditched the big Alaska oil project. He suspended leases in Anwar, and he canceled Keystone XL. Now, that's what has us really behind the 8 ball now. And because solar and wind don't run America, we're more dependent now on despotic regimes for energy than under Trump. Now, enter the Biden team's genius new plan: boycott Russia, buy Venezuela. Oh, that's brilliant. Come on, but the lies didn't stop where we stopped them. They kept going on. Like, who's really to blame for the current predicament we're in?
A united response to Putin's aggression has been my overriding focus: to keep all NATO and all of the EU and our allies totally united. Today, we remain united. We remain united in our purpose to keep pressure mounting on Putin and his war machine.
Well, false. NATO is united or unified only to the extent that they all wish this didn't happen. It's a terrible tragedy. Of course they all agree on that. But NATO unity is one of the greatest illusions ever sold. For starters, Germany opposes banning Russian energy. The Netherlands, they're not totally on board. And even the UK is wary of immediately cutting off Russian oil and gas.
You can't simply close down use of oil and gas overnight, even from Russia. That's obviously not something that every country around the world can do.
Well, maybe so, but that's Biden's fault too. They could have been buying from us, but Biden shut it down and empowered Russia as a major supplier of Europe's oil, natural gas, and coal. So what would have made us stronger and freer, and by extension, make Europe stronger and freer, the Democrats wholeheartedly rejected. And that's all on Putin? Well, he's just a beneficiary of our own self-loathing, self-destructive, terrible, awful, rotten leadership. Biden swore to uphold and protect the Constitution of the United States, not to uphold and protect international norms, global equity, climate change, and a border area in a non-NATO country. Yet the people controlling Biden, they know full well that their Go Green global agenda requires the resetting of the American mind away from the old normal to a new, more compliant kind of normal. So every move they make is designed to prepare you, America, to get used to living with a little less. Less travel, less privacy, less income, less freedom. But when you're pining away for the way that things used to be, don't blame Joe, blame Vlad.
Americans are paying a higher price at the pump because of the actions of President Putin. This is a Putin spike at the gas pump.
I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home.
Who needs a White House press secretary, though, when you have a White House press corps to spin for you?
Gas is actually less expensive than it was in 2008 during the previous record if you take inflation into account. We spoke to one couple who says they say it's worth paying higher prices right now.
I'm willing to pay higher prices at the gas.
I am too. I'm willing to sacrifice and pay for the people that are suffering in Ukraine.
Now, every single person that we have spoken to here feels the exact same way. They feel that it's worth it to pay higher prices if it is supporting the people in Ukraine.
Oh, we'll see in November, won't we? Well, these are Biden propagandists. They would make Putin proud. They're so good at their job. Now, thus, when Biden drones on about the cost of defending freedom in Ukraine, our own citizens now, with everything that's been happening over the past 14 months, may be wondering about our own freedom and our own safety at home. Because they're seeing life's basic necessities become increasingly unaffordable and unattainable. Meanwhile, they see our southern border becoming increasingly overrun with migrants and criminal cartels. But don't think about that. No. You're not allowed to complain about anything that is happening here. No, you are not. Because if you do, you're just doing Putin's work. You're doing it for him. Or you do not care about the suffering of the Ukrainian people. You're a horrible person if you worry about your own country. Well, we do worry about Ukraine, but we also care a lot about what's being done to our own country by people who will not stop lying.
Russian oil will no longer be acceptable at U.S. ports, and the American people will deal another powerful blow to Putin's war machine.
A powerful blow? Well, the war in Ukraine will end when Putin gets the deal he wants, and not a moment sooner. When most of Europe is still buying oil from Russia, and when China's there to pick up the slack, our oil sanctions, they're not nothing, but they're basically symbolic. Finally, the venal, destructive role our press is playing here cannot be overstated. They don't believe that Americans paying higher gas and food prices is a real sacrifice for them. They believe America has too much. And it's time to reset the American mind altogether. Global thinking only, please. Now, despite all their alleged concern about Ukraine, the media remain committed to what we know is just a highly partisan and divisive agenda that weakens our country and ends up helping our enemies. For example, they could support more drilling here at home, so we'd be more energy independent, but they're not going to. They could dial back some of their anti-American propaganda that China's always citing back at us, but they won't. They could acknowledge that the 74 million people who voted for Donald Trump are loyal Americans. They're not traitorous fascists. But they're not going to do that. They could hold the Biden administration accountable occasionally for its mistakes, even if that means the GOP might, on occasion, benefit. Not going to happen. They could tell the truth about China, including how it influences U.S. politics. Don't hold your breath. All of these developments would make America stronger and thereby put us in a better position to help Ukraine and defend democracy. But no one really expects the media to abandon its radical hard-left agenda. Instead, they're going to continue their civil war against America firsters and their culture war against everyone who believes in traditional morality, and of course their propaganda war against the whole idea of the United States, because like Biden and like the Democrats, they care more about those causes than they do about Ukraine. In fact, just like Biden himself, their only thing that they're willing to sacrifice here is America. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page.